petition. All three of them, I think, have been run out of town now. Cynthia's gone. One of them had health problems. Once they put the fluoride in, she couldn't live here anymore. I think all three of those gals are now gone. And they brought in a guy who had failed the Bar Association and made him chairman of the pro-fluoride thing. And they spent, I think, 100 times more than the people that were trying to protect you from the poison known as fluoride. Actually, sodium hydrofluoric acid is the correct term. And it comes in bags, and they're dumping it in Santa Maria water ever since. But I knew that was bad news. And they had one wacko quacko dentist here that came to the city council and sent his little dental assistant in to say, oh, it's a good idea. My doctor says so. A huge amount of literature says fluoride damages you no matter how little you take. And guess what? You get probably 3 or 4 times the amount of fluoride by eating wheat-based cereal that comes out of Oklahoma or Kansas, where they have high fluoride in the water to begin with. And that's why you will often see people from those locales with very yellow and fractured teeth. That's what fluoride does to them. It causes this stain in the teeth. And now we have another corporation, and your city council, led by Alice Patina, it's just like, roll over. How much do you want to rape me? I mean, they're not protecting you people. They couldn't care less about you. They're going to all have special reverse osmosis filters put on their homes while the rest of the people get poisoned. And when you can't even drink the water at all, only the people that can afford to buy really clean water machines are going to be healthy. And the rest of you, if you're elderly, like I am, like Walter's getting, there's going to be nobody to help you get clean water. And this fluoride, even if you shower in it, which you are doing already, it goes through the skin, it gets into your body, and it damages the brain cells. So that's what we had. See, I've been doing this show for more than 14 years. Aren't you glad, Walter?
Yes, I remember you from 10 years ago.
10 years ago, and you thought it was a little bit quacky-wacky at the time.
Oh yeah, we called you a lot of colorful things, but
now I look a lot more sane, don't I?
Well, now that many people have woken up to the stuff that goes on in the back channels, well, we're not really privy to this. Area 9 was set aside as an industrial park. During the process of approving the portions of the plan, just as it was being voted on to send up to City Council, the chairwoman of the Planning Commission had to recuse herself because she worked for the major landowner out there in Area 9. The city loaned the landowners group of Area 9, they loaned them $100,000 interest-free, and they don't have to pay it back until their projects are approved. Now, there's no projects on the horizon, so it's an interest-free $100,000 loan. And oh, by the way, if you didn't buy into that, and you didn't buy into the Area 9 specific plan, you as a non-participating landowner, you're on the hook for that money just as much as the other folks, but you have to pay up front. You have to pay up front.
Ain't it beautiful? Your leaders, Larry Lavatory or Lavagnino or whatever. Lavagnino. No. The best part of that is no. Larry and now Alice Patina, these people aren't just selling you out. They're chopping you up.
They voted for it. They voted for it.
They want you to be sick and ill. Then you can go to the doctors more.
And yet they deny even knowing about it to this day. What's unusual is
they didn't have the second reading. So since they didn't read it, Walter, the second time, it takes 3 readings for it to sink into their thick, dumbed-down, fluoridated skulls. So since they only had the first reading and very few people paid attention, they read through it very quickly. They waived the second reading. Nobody heard it the second. Nobody heard it the third time, and they voted on it. They sold you out.
Well, it's been said by knowledgeable people close in to the council that council's a rubber stamp for city staff, and this is a concept floated by the community development director, Larry Apple. His concept is, if we can get these oil operations to be conducted safely around inhabited dwellings, subdivisions, Liberty School, then we can do this throughout Santa Maria in every park, city park, retention basin, and open space in the city. It said so in the March 28, 2012 Back to the Future article in the Santa Maria Times. Plain as day. They're just waiting for an oil company who's willing to come into town to do it.
Well, the lady, you remember the lady we talked up to on Starlight when we were
certainly.
And we just videotaped this yesterday. Yesterday, on my wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
On my wedding anniversary, I'm out doing this for you people. Oh, there's a shot of...
That's where I live. That's where I live. Those are the abandoned wells.
All those little black dots.
Those are abandoned wells. Now
Yeah.
here's
Starlight.
Here's Starlight. That's looking down to
And you can see the bulldozer's elbow up in the air there, or the claw.
Yeah, looking down from the cul-de-sac on Starlight towards Sunrise.
Thomas Paine used to live up there.
In that cul-de-sac.
He's moved down to Pismo Beach where he doesn't have these issues.
And these are beautiful houses.
And there's the lady. You were talking to this lady, and she didn't, I don't think she really understood.
Well, what she did understand was the fact that although they had paperwork that said that their land was cleaned up and that it had been, the soil had been tested.
Yeah, her house.
Her house. They had offered her and her husband, they had offered to buy their home, even though they knew that the land was clean. So if the land is clean, why did they offer to buy the house?
Exactly. Why?
Do we have seeps coming up underneath these subdivisions? Because across the road and just south of there is the Santa Maria Energy steam injection plant.
And she was saying there used to be a tank behind her house, and in the direction she's looking right now, across the cul-de-sac, that's Starlight, behind that house, she said there was a derrick and a tank there many, many years ago. So when they built their house 15 years ago, they wanted a custom house. He paid to have the land checked.
Yeah.
He had the land checked and there was no contamination, and so he couldn't understand why Phillips Petroleum, ConocoPhillips came to them and wanted to buy their house.
And they refused to sell.
And they refused to sell just recently. And so the issue then becomes, can you prove your land is not, well, he could because he had it tested just like you did. But what's going on, people, when they try to force people that have built a custom house up on a hill in a cul-de-sac in a good neighborhood, and they want them to sell a house so they can tear it down. Their house, I would say, was probably in the value range of $500,000, don't you think?
Oh,
Walter?
yeah, $500,000, $600,000. Beautiful home.
Beautiful home, up in a cul-de-sac, away from the noise of the 101, away from the schools, just a quiet place. And she's like in her 90s, and her husband's 96. He said something interesting too, Walter. To be fair, I don't know if we're going to see him on tape. Well, I guess we do at the end. But he said, when he was a kid, he grew up in Santa Maria, and they used to chew on tar. They would go up where these pumps were pumping and find globs of tar, and they would chew it to whiten their teeth. I never heard of such a thing, but he swears by it. They used to chew tar. Of course, they didn't swallow it, but I wonder what's in the tar that could whiten your teeth.
Oh, well, probably some kind of solvent.
Yeah, probably some kind of solvent.
Well, many of us.
And he lived to be 96.
Yeah, well.
And he was making a point. Why are they tearing down the house? She told us there was a little 2-bedroom house that we're going to see the land here in a few minutes. We'll see the land for that 2-bedroom house. She said that went for $600,000. And it was just a little 2-bedroom house. And she knew the owner. What crazy corporation would pay 30-40% more than its value for a 2-bedroom house, Walter?
Well, a company that wants to hush you down. A company that wants you quiet.
That was
complacent.
Yeah, that was my feeling. Yeah, we're going to roll down the street. You're going to see us walk down the street and pass the guard that's holding a stop sign. Come back to the studio, Stephen. Let it roll for a while till we're going down the hill. Show us what you got here so Stephen can bring these
Well,
up.
you know,
We need to run through these.
we
just saw this map with all this. Yeah, all the dots. You can't see it here, but these are oil wells. How many of them?
These are abandoned oil wells. This is southern Santa Maria. And southern Santa Maria has, I would say probably close to 600, 800 wells underneath it. And the Area 9 specific plan, Area 9 over by where we live, Betaravia on the south, Black Road on the west, A Street on the east.
Well, you're way out west.
Well, yeah, we're right at the edge of the city. We moved there. It was a strawberry field, and the planning commission and the council in their infinite wisdom thought, well, let's go ahead and turn that into an industrial park. And oh, by the way, the landowners thought, well, while we're conducting our business, we'll have an oil well out back for a little extra cash on the side.
A little extra cash.
Regardless of the people downwind. Now, we're downwind. We're 2,000 feet downwind of where these 72 wells are going to be. And
they're going to activate these 72 wells? Old wells? Or they're going to make new wells?
Well, let's just say that the wells, there are abandoned wells there. Now, what the abandoned wells, they can be reutilized by drilling right through the old casings and the concrete that plugs them, hopefully.
Wow.
Through the concrete that plugs them.
What
Some
do
of them have
What do you think
railroad
they're
ties
doing
in them.
here, down here, where they tore these houses down? What do you think? Are these abandoned wells? That's the map. Those black dots are all the abandoned wells, except 1 or 2 are still active wells. Now let's go back to the video. Here we are at Starlight and Sunrise Drive, and I just got past the guy there, I think, that's holding the stop sign.
Yeah, the flagman.
Yeah, the flagman. He doesn't want us to walk across the street, does he?
Well, I think that's probably for safety. Because,
but even when we went way up to the other corner where there was no trucks operating, they didn't want us even there on the sidewalk.
well, ultimately, when we got away from the entrance...
Now, this is
where the
just
excavator
yesterday,
was working,
people.
Once we got away from the entrance, we could walk over to the other side, and I took some pictures of a Suma vapor detector. They were monitoring the emissions from the site. As you can see, workers there are with GPS staffs. They're giving the depth that they've dug to. They're monitoring this on a regular basis. And you will see in this video, they have these
They got windscreens there to keep
windscreen barricades so that the
dust,
dirt and dust
doesn't blow over.
doesn't blow to the house behind it. Now imagine they're mitigating this soil contamination, and you live right next door. Are they going to?
And there is a house right behind that.
Right behind
you
it.
can see it, the peak of it, just over the wind guard. And later on, you'll see I zoom in on the guys gardening and walking around outside, right on the other side of that. We'll get to that, but there used to be 4 houses, and they were all very new houses. This was just yesterday, the 11th of September, 2014. And to be fair, Walter gave him, the supervisor on the site, gave him your information and phone number, right?
Certainly.
And he said his boss would call you.
Oh yeah, call me quickly, he said.
And I was waiting for you to call me and say, hey, he's coming down here Friday. He's going to explain what they're doing to mitigate whatever isn't right.
And I never got a call. Never did.
call me. I'd love to hear your side of the story. It's not that we want